Welcome to the latest edition of the Leeds Rhinos podcast. We're here on our way back from Perpignan after Saturday night's defeat against the Catalans Dragons. Jamie, a disappointing defeat for the boys in the end?
Yeah, disappointing for everyone involved. Obviously, we've had quite a few fans travel over, and sponsors and directors, and obviously the playing group. I think we're all equally frustrated and disappointed with the result. We had obviously as coaches we stayed up last night early hours reviewing the game, and had a few conversations this morning, and we spoke to the players as well. And it's not through lack of effort or determination or endeavour. It's more just probably the inability to build and sustain pressure on the opposition, which we knew we needed to do all week. They're a big, powerful team, and we knew they were under a little bit of pressure with the results. So the plan was centred around, keeping the ball in play and moving them around, completing the sets, and essentially playing in the right field positions, which we failed to do. Rugby league's a simple game, but it can be a difficult game at times. And when you don't do that, and Catalans were really good, they kept a foothold in the game, and they managed to obviously come through victorious. So yeah, we are disappointed and frustrated, but not for all, like I say, lack of effort. It was just probably the way we managed the game.
And our discipline's been so good so far this year, but the penalty count's probably our highest we've had this year, and it was where we gave away those penalties that hurt us as well.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, I mean that combined. If you're not holding the ball, obviously, the game, rugby league's a simple game, and the teams that were successful in 1970 and the teams that were successful this year, the teams that complete high, have good levels of discipline, and you play the game in the right areas. We turned the ball over cheaply, and then we compounded that with penalties. Now we have got the best discipline record in the competition thus far in terms of penalties conceded. So we've been really squeaky clean, getting loads of good feedback from the refs. I'd say, and I'm not one to question calls and things like that. There were probably 3 or 4 penalties that really relieved pressure from them, which they could have gone either way, 50-50. Sometimes you get them on the day, and unfortunately we were on the receiving end of some of those calls yesterday. Now the ref calls it as he sees it, and that's fine. We've got to be a bit cleaner around the rucks and have a better awareness of where the referee is, and where the onside line is. Obviously, we're a bit overzealous to get off the line a couple of times, but ultimately, yeah, we didn't concede on the back of any of those, but it gives the opposition a foothold in the game. Really, we should have foot on throat and should be strangling them and squeezing them and getting the ball back on the halfway and getting back into them. We're bringing the ball back off our line again, and then you're having to work your way down the field. So it is just those pressure releases, whether it's through handling errors or penalties, that they just they kept Catalan in the game. And credit to them, as I say, they had loads of energy, they were physical, and they did what they needed to do on the back of it.
And pretty typical of Super League this year. It was defences were it was a low scoring. Defences were controlling the game. They probably took their chances, limited chances they had. We weren't. Those half chances we got to think of Jake Connors' effort in the first half. Harry had a half chance in the second half, and there were other slight breaks in the game, but we just weren't clinical.
Yeah, obviously Jakey's one. Jakey usually ices those. He's been great, and he's someone you'd want in that situation. You rely on him to get the job done there. Frall's, is a couple of inches offside, and we don't get that one. There's a couple of opportunities. Harry, almost gets over the line. Yeah, and they scored 2 tries from kicks. One obviously on the back of Harry getting tackled, and the ball comes out, and they get a last play kick. Thought we defended really well. We defended his line really well. We showed loads of resilience. We were physical. We had, as I say, a lot of effort in that area of the game, but ultimately the penalties and the inability to hold the ball and put pressure on them. Whenever we looked like we were going to get into a little bit of a cycle, you could see the body language, like we're going to get on top here, and then it was just a pressure release. Slow game, similar to the Wakefield game, really slow game, lots of time for the opposition to recover. We're a really fit team, we're powerful, we're athletic. If we hold the ball, teams are going to struggle to stay with us. If we keep turning it over and there's breaks in play, teams are going to be able to remain comfortable and hang in there, and that's what happened yesterday.
Yeah, you mentioned the child that Remus Smith scored on the back of Harry losing. Well, it's such a shame because we'd scrambled really. Chris Sato made that break. Riley Lum did brilliant. Ash did well to get back, rushing back to complete the tackle. And we didn't get the reward for the effort we put in there.
No, you can say that, can't you? But ultimately, it's Harry's probably got to have a bit better awareness with his carry. He's in a bit of traffic there. He's trying to switch the ball, and the kid tackles him from behind and almost blindsides him really, and the ball comes spilling out. Like we'd worked so hard to get it back. They're the frustrating ones. Like the amount of times we forced an error or defended his line and then compounded it with an error, when really you should be putting them under pressure, squeezing them. And we, as I said, I've said it a few times, but we just kept letting that pressure out of the valve. So it's they're not hard fixes. But when you're in it, it's really, really frustrating because you just feel like all you need is just like one thing to go your way and you get that momentum and a bit of fluidity into the game. We just couldn't seem to quite get it.
One young man who continues to impress is Riley Lum. Mentioned him there for that tackle on Chris Satai, but the one that really stood out for me was a kick that he took over his shoulder with Tommy Makeson right on top of him, chasing him down. And Riley just seems to rise to whatever challenges put in front of him.
Yeah, he's doing a great job, is Lummy. He's obviously stepped up when Steve's got the injury, and we were debating is he quite ready to be able to do it week in, week out at Super League level? But I think because he's so level-headed and he takes things in his stride and he's very receptive to the information that you give him, and he's learning all the time. And he's not been perfect every week. He's come up with a couple of things where there's been some easy fixes, certainly around his defence, like his width, his spacing, his reads and things like that, which you tell him one week and he fixes it the next, and that's all you can ask from a young player. So we talked this week about people being reliable. Didn't use the word consistent. We said we need reliability now. We need individuals to be more reliable because team-wise, systematically, effort certainly and physicality, we're delivering, but a lot of the things at the minute is individual reliability. And for a young lad who's come into the team with probably little experience, he's probably one of our more reliable players. And I thought Ethan, obviously coming onto the other wing for Hawley, who's always been outstanding, probably our most consistent, reliable player thus far. Ethan's come in without any reps on the wing, and he's not really played wing before. He's obviously a centre. But I thought he did a great job. Positionally, he scrambled and covered a couple of kicks. He's had some strong carries. He made a couple of breaks. So fair play. I thought both as wingers did a pretty good job considering.
Yeah, it's noticeable here. We're here at Perpignan Airport, just waiting to fly back to Leeds, and Ethan's looking a bit sore walking around there. I asked him yesterday in our post-match interview we watched when he'd last played a competitive game. He had a run out for the reserves in a friendly, but he's not played since last August. So to come up for a performance like that, it's a great springboard for what's to come for him in the future. Yeah,
definitely. I mean, that's why he's here. We brought him over to do a job and to feature. And young Alfie was unlucky not to play this week. He had a couple of areas to fix up, which BA spoke to him about. We said Ethan's here to play, so let's play him. He's not an out-and-out winger, but felt like he came in and did a great job for us. So under the circumstances. He's physical, he's dynamic, he's very, very energetic and enthusiastic, and it's not always going to be perfect. He probably got out of position a little bit on the try concede where he's been beat with the ball over his head, but you're talking like a matter of metres, and when you've not played the position before, you can probably half accept that as long as you can fix it, and I'm sure he will. But all in all, you probably couldn't ask much more from lad.
Talking about fixing things up, I think fans would really get an insight into the game finishes. We were there at Stade Gilbert Brutus yesterday. The review process almost starts straight away there, doesn't it? You're already thinking. Just talk us through what last night, because seeing you guys at the hotel, you were working late into the night, because presumably this morning the lads are saying, right, what do we need to work on?
Yeah, so we just in terms of that process, it was a late one last night. Obviously, we finished and probably got back to hotel around, would have been 9:30, 10 p.m-ish, give or take. And obviously, you don't want to sit on it too long when it's a performance like that, certainly as a coach. And we all share the same frustrations as well. So we got back to hotel. The game's already uploaded. You know, we've got all the camera angles and the details and stuff. So yeah, we pretty much laptops are out. You know, I was probably wrapped up for about maybe 1:30, 2 a.m.ish. Just coding the game, getting all my defensive statistics together, everything else. Grixie were doing the same for like the last place iron-out finishers. BA's obviously gone through the game as well. John, who's our lead analyst, he'd have been up till probably about 4 a.m, you know, starting coding the game. So we've had a good look at it there, then I'll get up, I don't know, maybe, well, we were up about 7 this morning. I'll go over it game again then, you know, and you start putting things together and putting your packages together, and then all the other coaches are doing the same. Then we get together and have a conversation post that. You know, so we've already had a hot debrief post the game, and then you take the emotion out of it. Then you look at you've watched the game through probably twice by that point, well 3 times including live, and then it's, well, you know, did the emotions mirror up to the objective data and everything else that we've seen? And you know, more often than not it does, but sometimes it doesn't. You know, sometimes you can have a great performance and it's not as good as you thought, and you can have a perceivably bad performance and it's not as bad as you thought. So it's important to remain level-headed and objective. But yeah, we do that, and then, you know, you have a hot debrief with the lads after the game, get around some of the leaders, game drivers, what did you think, get their feedback, and then you do the same again this morning once you've obviously reviewed it and they've had time to sit on it. And yeah, more often than not the reflections are pretty aligned with the coaches and the players. And it's simple fixes, because you can overreact and overanalyze and over-communicate, but really, when it all boils down to it, if we hold the ball better and we put more sustained pressure on the opposition, like, we're going to be successful. That's what it comes down to. So they're the fixes, and they're not hard. It's just obviously getting those and then putting them into action the following week.
Thanks for that, Jamie. We're going to shoot. We've got a flight to catch back to Leeds. Thanks for joining us on the Leeds Rhinos podcast. We'll be back on Thursday with our Q&A edition. Get your questions in to info@therhinos.co.uk, and we'll see you then. Thanks for joining us.